you feel like New York City basketball royalty?
I feel like I'm still working on it. I'm still working on it. I feel like, you know, because I'm a late bloomer. As growing up when I was young, I wasn't really one of the top guys, I feel like. You know, I was in the talk of things, but I wasn't one of the top guys, in my opinion. So I feel like, you know, that's why sometimes my name probably is not brought up as much, but when they get on the court with me, they know what time it is.
Hold on. Let's get this started. First off, you're listening to WBH Radio. I'm your host, William Holly. The voice you hear, big time guest, New York City basketball royalty, the one and only Eugene Lawrence. Geno. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, now he started with, he was a late bloomer. Geno, we about the same age. For as long as I can remember, you were one of the more prominent figures in this city, man. So when you talk about late bloomer, man, where this basketball journey start for you?
I started playing organized really like 13, 14.
Okay, that's kind of late.
Yeah, you know, like all my peers and stuff, they started around 10 or some even 8, things like that, playing CYO back in the day and things like that. So, yeah, I consider myself a late bloomer. I didn't start playing AAU till I was like in 9th grade.
Yeah.
You know, 9th, 10th grade. I went to Canarsie, started at Canarsie High School, and one of my good friends, Rob White, he took me down to Brooklyn, USA, and I tried out for Brooklyn, USA, and that's what was my foot in the door for AAU.
Your foot in the door, and late bloomer, but bloom you did. You know, let's go through the resume real quick. City champion at Abraham Lincoln High School.
Mm-hmm. MVP.
MVP of that game. Indeed. We're going to get into that. You went in to play 4 years at St. John's University.
Yeah.
14-year pro overseas.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're familiar with New York City summer basketball, out there on the blacktop under the lights, Geno's been getting it done summer after summer for a decade plus now at some of the most prominent tournaments in the city. But Geno, we got to go back to the beginning. The transfer. The transfer that sent ripples and shock waves through this city. As you mentioned, you started your high school career at Canarsie High School. In your senior season, it comes down that you're transferring to Abraham Lincoln High School to play for the great Tiny Morton, to play alongside the phenom Sebastian Telfair.
Correct.
Now, throughout the years, we heard all type of stories. They promised you a beachfront condo in Coney Island. They gave you a shoebox full of cash. But we got the man here, Geno. How did that transfer come about?
Well, back then it wasn't social media, right?
Nope.
So I went down. That's when they had the wheelchair classic games, PSL wheelchair classic games, where it was almost like an all-star game.
Okay.
And they had like 2 divisions. So Tiny was coaching the Brooklyn division, and a few players from my team, Canarsie, had made the team, and I was down there working out with them.
Okay.
So back then, you always knew a name, but you didn't know the face to a name.
To Eugene Lawrence?
Exactly.
Okay.
To anyone,
Right.
like some people, you know, because it's like I wasn't playing AAU and stuff like that. So, you know, people just seen my name from Canarsie, but they didn't know who I was, you know. So I'm practicing with them, and I'm playing well, but I didn't make the team with them. You know, it was juniors and seniors at that time. I was a sophomore, and I was just working out with them. So, but that's when I met Tiny.
Okay.
And he kind of put the face with the name. So my junior year, now I'm second in scoring in PSL. Sebastian is number 1, I'm number 2. And then the transfer rule was clear where you could transfer without sitting out a year. You could transfer and play right away. So at this time, I'm realizing, like, I'm starting to own my skills. I'm realizing I can compete with guys and things like that. Right. So I'm like, all the seniors left from my team in Canarsie, and I'm realizing, like, I need to go play with better competition so I can probably get a scholarship to go play basketball for college, you know, get a scholarship. And I felt like the way the older guys who was on my team in Canarsie, the way they was handled, I felt like some of them should have got like either mid-level or higher D1 scholarships, and they didn't. So I felt like it was a a problem there, because they definitely were talented and had the skills.
They had the skills, but maybe they didn't have the stage to play on to get recognized.
Exactly, that's how I felt. So I played ABCD camp that year, had a good camp, and then I started playing Juice AAU with Tiny and those guys.
All Stars. That was Tiny's team.
Yep, AAU. And then I just decided to transfer, go there and play. I spoke about it with my parents, my friends, and everyone felt like that was the right decision for me to go play over there, and that's what we did.
How tough was that decision?
It was real tough, because I'm a loyal guy.
Yes, sir.
I credit myself on loyalty, A lot of my friends and family know that, whatever I stay or whatever I commit to, I stand on, So it was kind of difficult for me because I didn't want to seem as a traitor, or something like that. But I also had to think about, my future. I'm a sibling of 5, so for me to get a scholarship to go to school for free, that's
big time.
That's major.
And you felt Abraham Lincoln was the best place. So what happened? Y'all placed a phone call to Tiny. He reached out to y'all. It was just a mutual thing?
Yeah, it was more like a mutual thing because I was playing with them AAU that summer.
Yeah.
And, it wasn't like he recruited me or anything. I wanted to go play there, and I guess me playing AAU showed that I fit with the guys and I can compete on that level as well.
For those of us who heard it, the initial shock was kind of the gameplay. Like, Sebastian Telfair is a ball-dominant guard, and so was Eugene Lawrence. You know what I'm saying? They had just came off 2 city championships. Did you worry about the fit?
Not really, because I'm the type of player who can adapt, and so is Sebastian, Sebastian, he can play off the ball, and so can I. So I think that's why we kind of gelled together.
Was there any struggles with that relationship initially?
Nah, not really. It went smoothly, we gelled right away, I guess, in practice and stuff, he respected that I didn't back down from him and things like that, and I was going to go through the trenches with him. I was going to compete with him, you know what I mean? I guess I kind of won his acceptance, like that. So I think that was easy for me to transition and get the respect of all the players at that time.
You mentioned it wasn't really the social media age. It'd have been crazy if that happened today. What type of backlash did you receive? Were you surprised by the reactions?
The backlash was crazy, even years after I left. But, those were people that were just upset. I don't think it was anything personal. But the Daily News did a write-up. They had me, like, a mugshot of me and Tiny in the newspapers. They had the article, like, they had Tiny picture on, like, a dart thing, like the Target thing with the circles and everything, and the headline read, "Get Tiny." Yeah. And they was talking about me in there. They had a mugshot of me, like my old coach from Canarsie, rest in peace. Yeah, rest in peace, Coach Allen. He was a little salty behind it. Him and the DA. I mean, not the D. I'm tripping. Him and the AD. Yeah, they had they were salty, but which was expected. Life goes on, though.
That got to be a tough for a young high schooler. You know what I'm saying? You just want to play ball, try to get yourself a college scholarship, and all of these adults and the biggest newspaper in the city, is putting you on a front street, man.
Right. The 17-year-old kid at that. And I mean, I could understand if Canarsie, if we would have been able to do something that year, like if we had a good team coming in. But like I said, everyone left. I would have been the only senior. With sophomore and freshman and things like that, So I probably would have got overlooked from schools as well. And I guess things worked out the best.
For sure. Y'all was the first super team. Forget KD and Steph Curry. Y'all did it first, man.
Yeah, it was a fun time, man. It was a fun time.
We often talk about on this show, Through the Fire. You know what I'm saying? Y'all... It was about that senior season. Sebastian, you were right there. What was that like for you? Did you know, when you transferred, did you know you was about to step into that? A movie, literally.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. It was, for me, it was legendary. I'm not even going to lie. in practice, you know, with Hawk Films and everyone filming everything. We had a joke, like, when we was around in huddles and stuff talking, we would have to pat people down to make sure they're not mic'd up. Right. So we have to watch what we say, because the mic was everything. And every time somebody says something, and we'd be like, oh, shoot, you mic'd up? And we see our man G-Lock over there on the camera just laughing because he hearing everything that we talk about. So, but it was definitely legendary, man, just traveling around, playing against all these players, all these top players, these ranked players, and playing against so much competition, being able to see different parts of the world as a young kid, it was dope.
How much did that ratchet up the pressure? Because first off, you going to play for the most prominent team in the city. They just coming off 2 championships. The whole city is talking about Eugene moving over there to Coney Island. I mean, to play for Lincoln. Mm-hmm. And then you got this movie crew. Like, what was that pressure like for a 17-year-old kid?
Yeah, honestly, for me, it wasn't that much pressure. You know, I feel like my whole thing was I was just working there to get known. So it was kind of me. I kind of blocked that stuff out a little bit. Like, it was great going through it, but like for me, I just was thinking about, all right, I got to get my notoriety up. Mm-hmm. I gotta do well so people could see Eugene Lawrence, you know, and understand that I'm here and stuff. So the pressure wasn't too intense for me because I felt like I belonged. I felt like I was finally where I'm supposed to be. Mm-hmm. So the pressure wasn't too much.
What's your favorite moment from that senior season?
I would say my favorite moment is winning the MVP at the Garden.
At the Garden.
Yeah. I feel like people in 100 years probably would have never guessed that I would win. Even I didn't think I would have won. But that game, Sebastian had gotten into some foul trouble where he had to sit, like I think either the third or the beginning of the fourth, where he had to sit a while, and I kind of had to hold it down. So I think I showed people that I can run the team and stuff like that, even if he's in foul trouble and things like that. So
he went down. You had to hold it down, Geno?
Yeah, he got in a little foul trouble.
What Tiny say to you at that moment? Or did he have to even say anything?
No, he didn't. He just, I remember him saying that we had to rebound that game. I remember. He's like, at halftime, he's like, if you don't rebound, you're not playing. I just remember him telling us that. And I think I had like 10 rebounds that game or something like that. So, yeah.
What would you say Tiny was like during that senior season? What was it like playing for him? You know, he got 2 dominant guards. You know, he was kind of like a magician from the outside.
For me, Tiny was everything. You know, he was a father figure to us, and we were able to talk to him like a bigger brother. Mm-hmm. So I think he knew how to tread the line as when we needed authority and when we just needed someone to talk to. Mm-hmm. And also he knew how to do that in coaching as well. So I think it was easy for players to adapt to his coaching style and be able to accept his criticism when we needed to and things like that. But definitely, he gave us confidence, you know. Whenever we weren't playing up to the potential or the capabilities that he knew we could, he definitely gave us that confidence.
Because I think sometimes people are hesitant to give Tiny credit as a coach. They feel like, yo, he's just a recruiter. He had family ties with Marbury and Telfair. Like, I don't think he really gets due as a basketball mind.
Yeah, and that's another thing. A lot of people think, like, would say that he was stealing kids. Mm-hmm. But it's like kids were growing up wanting to play for Lincoln. It wasn't like Tiny had to go out and, you know what I mean? Kids really want to go and, Steph went there, I want to, you know what I mean? Sebastian went there, Lance went there. You know, kids really grow up wanting to go to Lincoln. That's like wanting to go play for Duke or Kentucky and stuff. You know, like Lincoln was recruiting itself. He didn't really have to go out and, you know, his resume after winning those championships already proved that, you know. So all that stuff where people were saying that he was stealing kids or he stole me and stuff like that. It was nothing like that, you know, for real. Gotcha. But yeah, like you said, a lot of people don't respect his coaching mind. And I, like you said, I think that's crazy for him to have, like my year, the whole starting 5 went D1.
Yes, sir.
You know, to be able to coach that, you know, and I think that's tough, and a lot of coaches can't do that. It's like to have each guy shine in a way where they can be recruited D1. Sometimes it be guys who are just as good as other players, but you don't get to see that because the coach don't put them in situations where they can show their abilities and things like that. So I think he managed that real well.
Yeah. When's the first moment you realize, like, yo, this Lincoln experience is different than thinking? Like, what was your welcome to Lincoln moment?
My welcome to Lincoln moment was, I think, the Darius Washington game on ESPN.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
What happened?
First, the crowd was crazy. Just even going there, just hearing, I think we had 2 ESPN games that year.
Yeah.
So when the schedule came out, you're like, oh, it's lit. It's about to go down. We got Dwight Howard on the schedule. We got Darius Washington on the schedule. We had other couple good dudes in Cali too. Harvard Westlake, this school. Yeah.
The ESPN game was pegged Sebastian Telfair versus Darius Washington. I forget where he's from. He was from Florida. And you guys were playing up here in Fordham. You mentioned the crowd. So, do you remember seeing some of the celebrities, like even while you warm up, Jay-Z?
Exactly.
Who's the first person you recognize in the crowd?
I want to say I seen Derek Jeter. Then you see Hov, you see Amar Rashad, you see Rick Pitino, Steve Stout. Was crazy. It was crazy. I'm not gonna lie.
What was the moment for that game that you said that was your welcome to Lincoln moment? Was it just being in that environment, seeing the crowd?
Yeah, I think seeing the star-studded crowd, the environment. I mean, I'm used to the environment though. You know, I'm from Brownsville. We, you know, these environments get like that sometimes at games. But yeah, just to see all the celebs and stuff at the game, definitely.
That was a great moment for us as fans, because Bassie ends up hurting his ankle in that game, and we like, oh snap, it's over. What did you guys think at that moment?
At that moment, I think everyone just knew we had to step up.
No fear, Geno?
Nah, not really. Not really. I just think we knew we had to step up, and we was thinking like, man, these dudes from Florida, we not letting them come in here. You know, we got the crowd amped. Because Darius Washington, they had a little crowd too. You know, they pops be trying to be on bully time and stuff. So it was like our crowd was going at them and things like that. So it was turned up in there for real.
Turned up, man. And you guys put it together. Bassie came out there hobbling,
Yep.
doing crazy stuff. How'd you do that game? I don't remember.
I think I hit the 3 to put us up. We was down. Sebastian made a pass to me, kick on the wing, and I think I hit a 3 to put us up. Yeah. I had a good crossover move in that game too. I shook something out.
That's what's up. What was that time like for your family? You know, I know your pops is a big part of your life and your career. You know, somebody you leaned on. What was it like for them to be a part of that?
It was good, you know, because like I was saying before, I was starting to really own my skills and show people, you know, like my family always knew that I could play, like, you know, but I just never had the opportunity to play on that level or that stage yet. So I think they were happy that I would get in the chance and get in the notoriety as well.
Mm-hmm. You went over there looking to play on the stage and earn yourself a college scholarship, which you did. You know, ended up going to St. John's. What's the first contact you had from, I guess, a college during that year?
The first contact I had was from Rider University, I believe. They came to the school, spoke to me, things like that. They were wanting to start recruiting me. I had UNC Greensboro, they also came. I went on a visit there. Boston, you know, but...
Was this something you stressed about during the year? Like, yo, college.
No, not really, you know. I knew I was going to have college academically or for basketball, you know, because I was in my books and stuff, you know. My parents always taught me that from young.
Come on, Geno. Y'all don't go to class at Lincoln. You was in them books?
Nah, yeah. I was in the engineering program in Canarsie. So when I came to Lincoln already, it was kind of easy for me. I only had like 2 classes because I already took everything in Canarsie. So I was basically chilling in there, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, and you know, at that time, your grades, your GPA, and your SAT score balances out. You know, if you have a high GPA, your SAT score doesn't have to be as high, or vice versa and things like that. So I was kind of smooth already on the academic level. So I always knew I would have got a academic scholarship.
Wow, that's big time. And that's one thing Lincoln doesn't get credit for either. All of their guys were ready to go to the NCAA after school.
Yeah, for sure. It was no playing around. Sebastian, they was almost trying to fail Sebastian, not let him play. Everybody had to be in them books, man. They wasn't playing with us for real. There was a little hate too on the basketball team. They was so big in Lincoln, so it was some teachers and stuff who wanted to, make sure we wasn't skating by and things like that as well. So everybody was on their P's and Q's.
And y'all had to perform.
Yeah,
y'all had to perform. So you mentioned these schools: Rider, UNC, Greensboro. Anybody else in there?
Boston
University.
Yeah. But once St. John's came, I didn't even really show interest to.
Why?
St. John's legendary. I'm home. Family still could come see me. Friends still could come see me. Because at first, I wasn't even really thinking about going to college anyway. I wanted to do a year of prep school.
Okay.
The reason why I wanted to do a year of prep school because I felt like I'm on the stage now. People starting to see me. Let more colleges see another year of me, before I go. And I was still 17. My birthday's late, so I would still be going to college as 18 years old. You know what I mean? So I was thinking that at the time, but then St. John's came and I was like, all right, I'm going to St. John's.
Going to St. John's. I heard St. John's kind of snatched you up at the championship game. Is that true?
Like a little after that, yeah.
Like that sealed the deal for them?
Yeah.
And it's funny you say St. John's is the place you want to be because a lot of times New York City kid is a little hesitant to stay home, I feel like.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's not good for some city kids to stay home, to be close to, the distractions sometimes. But I was a different kid, so I didn't have to worry about any things like that,
Those distractions, knowing your story a little bit and hearing you talk now, you always seem to manage it well.
Mm-hmm.
How were you able to do so?
It just was my upbringing, I have an older brother who was in the streets growing up, so that kind of showed me the opposite, things not to do, so that was big for me. And also I had my parents who always instilled in me, like, be focused, be respectful, go to school, you get good grades and stuff like that. You're educated, doors are open for you. So I always had that in the back of my mind, I always knew it was a time and place for everything, Certain places you have to act accordingly, and that's just how life is, So that was installed in me from young.
Got you. With your older brother being in the street, I guess you had like a first-hand look and you said like, maybe that ain't the path.
Right.
And I think like people always ask like ball players coming out of New York, it's a lot of different things, a lot of different paths they can go. And like it sometimes takes the community to just like acknowledge, yo, that's the one. Leave them alone.
Right, definitely. That's true, definitely. Because sometimes the child, is still a child. They're not gonna have the willpower to deal with the peer pressure, things like that. So they need the people who are older to help them out with that,
For sure. Because we, as fans, like we assume going to Lincoln and being in that environment was kind of like Ray Allen and He Got Game.
Right.
Like how close was that? People just pulling up, yo, Geno, jump in the car, so I got something for you.
Right, definitely. Things could always go left, for sure. Because it was really like that.
That's crazy, son. That's crazy. St. John's, you signed. You signed to play for Norm Roberts.
Correct.
You ended up playing 4 years, 4-year starter.
Yeah.
How would you describe, I'm going to challenge you to give me one word, Geno. How would you describe 4 years playing in your city, playing in the Big East, playing at St. John's? Give me one word to describe that experience.
That's a tough one. One word.
Your home, Brownville, wasn't too far away. Right. I'm sure the family got out there.
Right. I need a good word. I want to say, look, you got me nervous. I want to say, Can I have 2 words?
Go for it, brother.
I would definitely say character building.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely built character for me, for sure, because we didn't have good seasons. So, being there and being from the city, and you just close, you get to hear everything from everyone in the newspapers, people who always doubted you or who always hated on you. You get to hear them, all the naysayers and stuff. So I would definitely say character building.
For sure. I hear you. And, there was some rough years.
Yeah, definitely.
Why do you think that was the case?
Some of what you said, kids not really wanting to stay home and come play for St. John's. And also, even some of the good years we had, we couldn't really make any noise because we were on sanctions from the things that happened previous with the Mike Jarvis class and everything, with the scandal that the teams had before us in Pittsburgh.
Wow.
So those sanctions were still on us, I think, to my senior year, actually. I think so.
So that limited scholarships?
Limited scholarships. We couldn't make the tournament either.
Wow.
So I think that played the big part as well for guys not coming in as well.
Did you sign on knowing those sanctions were in place?
No. Mm-hmm. I think they finished the ruling my freshman season.
Mm-hmm. You think that would have changed your decision?
It could have.
Impacted
It could have, definitely. It could have.
Some down years, there was some flashes. We loved watching you, of course, the home team guy, Anthony Mason Jr., right. Paris Horn. There was some flashes there. A few things. I was looking at your career, the box score. You went and played against Duke in Cameron Indoor.
Right.
Now, to make it to college basketball is a dream. But to be able to walk in a historic building like that, go up against Coach K, what was that experience like for you?
That was legendary. I'm not even going to lie, because Duke Stadium is almost like a throwback. It's not one of these new stadiums where it's the crowd is far back away from you. They on you, on top of you. And then they do their homework and they research. So you coming out there for warm-ups, they know your family, they know what you ate last night, they know what your sister did, they know what you did, how many points you had in the high school game 10 years ago. So they own you, but it's so gratifying when you do something in there, when you're playing good and you just silence the crowd. Yeah, that's dope.
That's crazy, man. What's the craziest thing they said to you in there?
They was bringing up my transfer. They was like, "Oh, you had to go team up with Sebastian." They was bringing that up, definitely.
That's crazy. So way down in North Carolina, they did their research, man.
Definitely.
Coach K say anything? Just that environment as a ball player, man, shooting free throws. You got Coach K right there. You got the crowd. Son, anything that stood out to you? Give me all the details you got about that game.
After the game, when you're shaking everyone's hand and you get to Coach K, you probably expect his voice to be something else. But then when you hear his voice, you be like, oh, snap, he sound like that? Because, you think of Coach K, you think of him like some mean type guy a little bit, but when you shake his hand, he say your name, and, he's very respectful and everything like that.
That's dope.
So that's cool.
That's dope, son. Another game I was looking at, two of New York's best going at it. You for St. John's, Quincy Doobie for Rutgers.
Oh, yeah. I think we split my career in college. I think they beat us once and we beat them once, if I'm not mistaken, him. But yeah, man, my boy Doobie, he been putting on for a long time, man, for real.
What were those matchups like for you playing against guys from the city?
It was dope, man. It was dope, especially a guy like that. Quincy was always someone I looked up to from young. Mm-hmm. I remember I played against him in high school as well, even when I was in Canarsie. Yeah. They might have beat us in the playoffs when I was in Canarsie, So he was always a player that I always loved to watch, just to watch him play the way he had a shot. I always wish I could shoot like that, So it was fun, It was always love when we played against each other.
Mm-hmm. What were those off seasons like for you? Would you stay in Queens? You in Brownsville?
I was back and forth, but at that time, when we was in school, they wanted us to take summer classes, and while we took summer classes, we worked out as a team up there. Mm-hmm. Try to make sure, guys are always up to date in their classes and on par graduating, so those are things we did.
How much did Brownsville get to come to watch your games?
Oh, they came a lot.
There you go.
Yeah. Came a lot. In R&W, my boy Bob was always in attendance, you know, on campus. Trying to run through campus, see what's going on, you know. They was around.
You played 4 years. After every year, was there an evaluation process? Like, yo, maybe we should go pro. Maybe we should try different things.
Honestly, for me, as I look back on my career, that wasn't even really on my radar. Like, of course, you know, everyone, as a kid, you'd be like, oh, you want to play in the NBA. But it wasn't like something that I really like set my mind to and like, yo, I got to make it to the NBA.
Wow.
Or I got to, you know. And that's probably why I'm not there now, you know. Because I definitely felt like I was on a level or even better than some guys who made it there. But I feel like at that time, I didn't have someone like with me who've experienced it or who've done it, you know, where I could like, who can kind of mentor me, tell me the things I needed to do to reach that level, you know, I felt like.
Really? But you had just finished a high school career with Sebastian Telfair, and he went straight to the league. Like, that's not somebody you could rely on for counsel?
Yeah, I could rely on him for counsel, but I, like, someone, like, he was kind of anomaly.
Yeah.
However you
Anomaly,
say it.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, anomaly,
think,
definitely.
yeah.
You know, his route. So we had two different routes.
Right.
You know what I mean? So for me to have somebody who went through college and, you know, did it that way and I kind of didn't have that, you know? That's why I try to reach out to young kids. You know, I try to tell them, like, you know, if you have any questions or things like that about the process, you know the path I took, you can hit me up and ask me anything, you know?
Straight up.
I think that's some reason why basketball is kind of going left in our city a little bit because kids are not being told the right way and they don't have the right people telling them. You know?
Sure.
Guys who've been through certain things and who experienced certain things. You know, it's our job to give that knowledge to these kids so they can understand, you know, because some of them have a facade of how things go, and then it's reality, how things really go, you know?
For sure. And you just finished your 14th year overseas.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about that process, Geno. You finished your college career.
Right.
All right? You're not going to the NBA. You still want to be a professional basketball player. What happens?
So I finished my college career. I'm looking for an agent. So I signed with Andy Miller at first.
That's a big name.
Yeah, I was with them. And then I felt like, you know, they had a lot of NBA guys and stuff. So what happened was I got called by Coach Green. He hit me up from New Heights. He hit me up and said that I can get invited to a workout with the Nets. You know, they had a lot of college players who working out, things like that. And I went down there for one workout. I did good. They invited me back for another one. So I had two workouts with the Nets, you know, out of school. And they was offering for me to go to the G League team at that time. But I had just had my daughter. And at that time, the G League was only like 10,000 for the season, 10 to 15,000, something like that. So I went the overseas route. I first played in Slovakia, and I hated it. Like, my first year, I hated it. I would hit my wife up like, yo, you got to come out here with me, you know? Like, yeah, I got to come out here with me and hold it down with me because this is terrible. So, but after I got through that, my first year.
Why was it terrible?
You know, I just never experienced anything
culture?
like that. Yeah, the culture, the language barrier, the food. Just everything was different. The style of play, the style of basketball is totally different. Totally different.
How so?
So I had to adjust to that. You know, just the tempo, you know.
It was faster or slower?
It's a little slower.
Okay.
And then the call, the traveling violations, you have to really watch your footwork over there. They big on that, things like that. I think my first game I had like 10 travel violations called on me, for real. I'm going at it with my coach. You know, I just hated it. But that actually turned out being one of my best seasons. I got Player of the Year. We won the championship. You know, I had a vet on my team, Demetrius Nichols, the OG vet. He went to Florida back in the day, the meat hook.
Okay.
That's what they used to call him. And he kind of like, he mentored me. He showed me the things to do and what not to do and stuff, and how I could have a long career over there. And he kind of installed those things into me, and I look back at it like, yeah, I could do this thing.
OG guidance. And 14 years later, you still getting done. But that first year, I want to get back to like the specifics of going to get a pro deal. You said, you had those 2 workouts with the Nets, and then you said you went overseas.
Right.
Did your agent get that? Is there?
I reached. Good thing you say that. I got in contact with 530, Sebastian's older brother. Okay. He was still in Europe at the time, or just just finishing his European career at that time, if I'm not mistaken. So he hooked me with his dude, 2 Points. That's the name of the agent, Mario Scotti, out in Italy.
Right.
So I got some film together for them, and I gave it to them, and they was able to give me the gig in Slovakia my first year.
I don't think sometimes, you talk about a facade, I don't think sometimes these people realize going to try and get a job is a full-time job.
Exactly. Nah, definitely it is. You definitely gotta know some people, have all everything in order and things like that, so you can be able to like, soon the opportunity comes, you got to be able to go. You know what I'm saying? You can't wait on it and things like that. And when opportunities come, you got to, I got to do this, or I got to get my game tape film ready. I got to get all of that. You got to have all that stuff ready and everything. So, because you never know when that opportunity is going to come. Yeah. And
you were ready. There's so many people in the hood, and it's about, I'm about to go overseas, I'm about to go overseas. And they don't. And it's not because they're not talented. Mm-hmm. They're not willing to do the work. Correct. You know what I'm saying? You a 4-year Big East guard, and you still reaching out, networking, sending game film.
Right.
A lot of the people think somebody's just going to come knock on their door. Mm-hmm. And that's a big part of why you've been a pro. Like, not just a talented ball player, but a professional athlete. You know what I'm saying? Conducting yourself as a businessman, son. Right. And I've always seen that from afar. Like, Geno ain't out here to play. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
He here to get to it. With those overseas deals, are you worried about the quality of the league, or you just say, that first year I got to get my foot in the door?
Pretty much. The first year, of course you worry about the quality of the league, because it kind of sets you up for your next job. Mm-hmm. Certain times when you play in certain leagues, other teams don't respect it, because the league is not as tough. But when you first starting out your first year, you gotta play somewhere. You gotta play somewhere, get some stats, get some film as a professional, and let other teams see you. You gotta let them see you. That way they can decipher, whether it's the competition or if you're a good player, you could play on that certain level and things like that. So your first year, you definitely have to just get out there, jump out there.
Just get out there. You said the G League was calling, but at that time it was like 10 or 15 grand.
Right.
What overseas was talking about?
So my first year overseas, I made $40K. So 10 to $40K for me, that was a big difference. I had my daughter at the time, and I'm like, I can manage that my first year.
But for you, it wasn't even about the money. It's also getting your foot in the door.
Exactly.
See, big time, bro. Mm-hmm. That's big time.
Definitely. And one thing about playing overseas in Europe, you can make $40,000 one year, and then your next year you can make $140,000. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the good thing about it.
Gotcha. So after each year, these are like only 1-year deals, right?
Yeah. I signed a few more than 1-year deals, but my first year was a 1-year deal. My next, I signed a 2-year deal for this cup team. And then from there, I basically was going by some 1-year deals, some 2-year deals,
Now, do you want the multi-year deals, or do you like the freedom of 1 year? Like, you know what, I could do different things.
At first I was, as you get older, you want the multi-year deals because you're getting up there in age. But in the beginning, is like I said, you can have a great year in Europe, and like your salary can literally change like $100K. So you don't want to lock yourself in, you know what I mean? Things like that. But on the other hand, you also can have a bad year, and then you can, you know what I mean? So you kind of bet, you kind of like got to bet on yourself, but so and for me in certain situations, I sign a 1-year deal, I have a good year, then we go back to the table and like towards the end of the season, then we negotiate for another year or another 1+1, something like that.
Which countries did you play in?
I played in Slovakia, I played in Czech Republic, Germany, Ukraine, Greece, and Russia.
What was your favorite stop?
I would say Germany and Czech. It's between Germany and Czech Republic.
Why? Why those 2 times?
Just I played on those two teams the longest. That team in Czech Republic I played on for 4 seasons, and the team in Germany I played on for 3.5.
What's your favorite moment from overseas? Because it's hard to keep up with you guys sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. I had a lot of good moments overseas. I'm not gonna lie. I won the championship 4 times. I came second place twice. I made All-Star games. I led some leagues in assists. I had a lot of good moments. But just being able to have my wife and kids being able to see a different part of the world,
Okay.
travel and things like that, I think that was huge for me.
Oh, you would start to bring them on the road with you?
Yeah.
After that first year, you was like, baby, I need you out here.
Definitely. You know, my daughter can say she traveled the world, you know, been certain places, you know, things like that. She can give input about certain things, you know, so that's big for me.
So you travel, play your season, then you come back home. And that's when you would terrorize the streets.
Yeah.
Geno been putting in work on the summer circuit. I always wondered, like, is it dangerous for you guys to play who really have pro conscience? Like, what's in it for you?
For me, it's just the love of the game, you know. When you out there and you really love the game and you're just playing, you don't really think about injuries and none of that crap, you know. It's like, it's just, for me, just fun, you know, just kind of like giving back, being able to let some young kids see you, like, oh, I saw such and such play.
Shut up.
He play overseas and stuff like that, you know, just little things like that. You never know, you can make a young kid's day. And then, you know, there's always some people talking when you come back home and they be like saying certain things, and you just got to show them one time, like, listen, I'm still here, I still do this, you know, things like that. For me, though, it's just the love of the game.
That's what's up, man. Many great moments out there. And, like, is there a certain street team that you play with or played with the most?
Like, my neighborhood, we have a team like that. You see the hat, NR&W, Brownsville team. We usually play in Gersh Park, you know, but
What's that stand for?
never ran, never will. So that's who I'm always playing with most of the time. If they're not in the tournament, then I'll play with certain people, you know, things like that. But
Well, there was a few years it was you and LaVance Fields in the backcourt.
definitely.
Vance Fields played at Pittsburgh, right?
Correct.
What's the most fun you had out there in Gersh, man?
See, it started like this because my brother LaVance, he never played street ball. Like growing up, you will never catch him in a tournament. Ever since we was like 12, 13, he broke his leg and he was like, he vowed to never play street ball again. So we was at Gersh Park, actually, me, him, and my dude Bob. So we watched, it was a Brownsville team in there playing. So we watching them and they just making the town look bad, you know, they losing, getting smacked. So we telling DP, we like, we talking our stuff. We like, next year we coming in here, we putting a team, we gonna win the championship, and we not playing no more in here. We gonna show y'all how a real Brownsville team do it. So that next summer, it was like 2014, we came in, we won the championship, and it was that from there. But we still kept playing in the tournament. We didn't stop playing, but that's how we started it.
What was that season like, man? Y'all told the commissioner, yo, Brownsville is here. We gonna do it the right way.
Right.
You got Vance out the crib to play in the park.
Yeah.
What was that summer like?
That summer was crazy, I'm not gonna lie. The atmosphere in Gersh Park was crazy. We were like the crowd favorites, you know. The whole neighborhood came out to support every time. We made sure the DJ dropped that ante up. You know, once they dropped that ante up, the gates are shaking. Yeah. Everybody going crazy, and it was just fun, you know.
In the summer, when people look at the schedule and they say, yo, I got to play against Eugene Lawrence, that's something they get up for.
Definitely.
Who's somebody you say, you know what? I got to be ready for this one?
Actually, I'm treating everybody the same. I'm coming out there, I'm treating everybody the same. I don't care who we playing, because I know once one of these dudes, even if they don't have a name, once they do something on me, they're going to get a name. You know what I mean? So I'm making sure I'm not playing with nobody.
Straight up.
Nobody. Everybody getting it. It don't matter who you are. You on the court with me, you got to get it. It don't matter.
What's your biggest scoring output in Gersh?
I don't even know. I know when we won it that year, I got MVP. But I don't know my biggest scoring output.
Last year, Dunker's Delight returned after like a 10-year hiatus.
Mm-hmm.
Opening night, they put Eugene Lawrence under the lights.
Right.
How much you had?
I had 41.
Had 41 piece.
Right.
Now, Geno, throughout your career, you was high school, college. We know you for being an assist man.
Right.
When did you make the transition to this offensive juggernaut?
I mean, I always felt I could score on the team, but I always felt like just, I don't know, my niche, something I really loved was getting other people involved in the game. Mm-hmm. For me, the more of the times when you see I scored a lot of points in the game, somebody said something slick to me, and I didn't like it, so I had to really show them, like, listen, don't think I'm just a passer, I can score too, you know? Yeah. And that's what happened that night in Dunker's Delight. It was like a young dude talking crazy to me.
On the court?
Yeah, you know, I guess he probably didn't see me in a long time or something like that. Probably thought I was washed up or something, and I just went bonkers. I think I scored like 18 straight at one point.
Son, I wasn't even out there, but just word got back to my phone. Yeah, Geno out here wilding. Bugging, son.
Right.
Bugging.
And the Black Ink crew, they was on the sideline trying to get crazy too. They had a bunch of diesel dudes out there with their shirts off and all that. What's the dude? Caesar from Black Ink was there. They came in the park, cameras and everything. So it was a good atmosphere.
That's what's up. That's New York City playground basketball. You know, New York City has a reputation for being tough. Mm-hmm. You know, those matchups could get hotly contested, the crowd and stuff. It ever got to a situation where things got sticky out there on the court, or?
I mean, not recently, not over the past probably 8 to 10 years, things been cool. But back in the day, definitely. We had to run out a few parks, definitely. Nothing per se with our team or anything like that, just the crowds, you know. So you never know, some people in the crowd have beef with each other, things like that. But New York City basketball, as far as violence, has been awesome. Mm-hmm. Awesome, like the past, say, like 10 years, bro. No violence in the parks, things like that. Yeah, everything's been.
That's good. You ever try to get Bassie out?
I'm gonna try. I be trying to get my boy out, but you know he ain't shoot a ball in a while. Definitely.
What was it like? You know, you tearing up the streets, you overseas, and you seeing him play in the league. Did you ever, I guess, try again to knock on the NBA door?
I really didn't, you know, but it was always love, you know. Every summer we would link up, maybe go on a trip or something together, or I'll go to his crib, you know, things like that. He'll come to the hood, check me, things like that. It's always love, you know. That's my brother. We always have that bond, you know, with each other. Yeah.
Why did you never explore the NBA option again?
Honestly, I really don't know. You know, I was building my name in Europe. Mm-hmm. You know, I kind of liked the path I was on, and I just was focused on that.
Mm-hmm. This past season, I saw you early in the year. You was coaching a high school game,
right?
And then the other day, I seen somebody repost something. You was overseas.
Right.
Like, how does that work? You was just living your life, and somebody called for a job. Like, we got 2 weeks for you. How does that work?
Well, first I was making sure I was always game ready, staying in shape. Mm-hmm. You know,
being a pro.
Mm-hmm. And then I didn't like, you know, at my age right now, I'm not gonna go overseas if the contract doesn't make sense, you know. So I wasn't liking the offers I was getting in the beginning. So, you know, I had all my credentials to work in the school. So I went and was doing that for a while. And then they asked me to start coaching with the JV team. I was doing that. But I got a call in about December to come play half a season in Russia, and it made sense. So I went over there to do that.
That's what's up. A post you had on Facebook. This is from October 2020. Geno's Facebook. My personal experience in Greece playing for Ionikos BC in the A1 League was the worst of my 12-year career thus far. I went there with the intentions of having a great season. I signed my contract and prepared myself the best way possible to have a productive year. I was very professional, respectful, and responsible on and off the court. I carried myself in a very dignified manner because that's what professionals do. All of that didn't matter because when it was time for the club to do the same, they didn't. I'm still waiting for my payments that I and my agent and the team president agreed upon a written contract. I've been lied to since January and it's very disappointing. Geno, they didn't want to give you your money?
Yeah, man. That's for all the players you're going to Greece. Be careful, man, because things can get sticky over there, regardless if you have a contract or not. So you got to make sure you're going somewhere that's a club that's respectable and that's going to do everything by the books.
How frustrating was that? Like, what was the arrangement? You supposed to get paid after the season?
No, you get paid monthly, you know, but it was like the team that I was on, they didn't expect us to have a good team. But we turned out to be one of the top teams in the league at the time. Right. So at that time, the team was basically started trying to tank games.
Wow.
You know, wasn't playing players. They brought in, like, players. Say we have a starting five, they brought in, like, 3 to 4 other players for every position, but lower caliber players. Right. You know, wanted them to play. Luckily, I didn't stay there the whole season, you know, so I wasn't in debt that much money. Right. I was able to go play to my old team in Germany, which was a blessing for me. But, yeah, they was on some shady stuff over there in Greece.
These are the trials and tribulations of going overseas, man.
Yeah, some teams are like that, man. Luckily, that was the only experience I had out of my 14-year career.
Were you able to rectify the situation?
Oh, no, not yet.
Dang.
And that's the thing, too. They need a better situation, like a union over there, because when teams do things like that and you got to take them to court, it's almost like you got to spend all this money to go to court against them, and there's no guarantee you win. And then once you win in court, they still cannot pay you or wait 5-10 years to pay you and things like that, you know, so.
And I bring that up because, again, we want to paint an accurate picture of what it is to go overseas. And I'm just so impressed with who you are as a professional. And I think that should be celebrated. You know, you are a standard in the city for a lot more than just your gameplay. And I want to share with the audience how this interview came about. I was doing a podcast with somebody else. I'm not going to mention his name because he stood me up. And I wanted to put some content with some of his peers talking about him. Mm-hmm. And I said, man, it'd be cool to have Geno up there. So I didn't know Geno. I got his number from somebody, just reached out cold. He was very receptive. So I'm like, yeah, well, we get it done. I was like, man, that's love. That brother don't owe me anything. We lost contact for a little bit. I said, you know what? Geno busy. Geno hit me back. Yo, my apologies. Da-da-da. Let's do it. Let's connect. Mm-hmm. And I was very impressed by that. Like, that's honorable behavior. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's like a lost art.
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely, man. And I'm big on things like that, you know, just putting love out there in the universe, showing love to people, you know, and all that stuff comes back to you, you know. And then on top of that, sometimes you never know what people going through and stuff like that, you know. So my wife always says it's nice to be nice.
For sure.
You know? So that's something I always have in the back of my mind at times. And it just, once you start living like that, it just becomes natural, you know.
For sure. That's why I always be asking the kids, y'all know who Eugene Lawrence is? Well, y'all need to. Y'all need to. In fact, we mentioned earlier this year, I went to Lincoln to watch my man coach. He's the head coach of Lincoln JV. Shout out to Tariq Tazghini. Mm-hmm. I walk in the gym, they playing Eagle Academy. Who do I see on the bench? Eugene Lawrence. I said, dang, son. Geno with the kids, man. Right, how did that opportunity come about?
Well, one of my close friends, he's an assistant principal at Eagle.
Okay.
Right, so like I told you, I had my credentials and everything, and when things happened with the COVID situation, a lot of teachers didn't come back and everything, so he asked me if I would be interested to come and teach there. So I was like, sure, no doubt. You know, I'm not doing anything right now. I'm waiting on something to go back overseas. In the meantime, I'll come there and teach gym. So I was teaching gym, and then the JV coach, and the principal and everything, they asked if I would like to come to help out with the JV team? And I was like, yeah, sure. You know, I just don't want to be locked in because I don't know where I'm going when I'm going back overseas, but I'll definitely come down and help, you know. But I grew love for the kids and everything like that, and they started doing their homework, learning who I was and things like that, you know. And it just, you know, became a big family, and it was cool.
That's dope. That's dope. Your credentials, you as a substitute teacher?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's dope. And they had you in the gym?
Yeah.
What's your degree in?
Communications, broadcasting.
Okay, all right. You can't say gym teacher, Geno. They'll crush you.
Phys ed.
They teach phys ed. They'll let you know, Geno. They'll let you know. All right, so
Phys ed, definitely.
so you with the JV team.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you play at a high level. Coaching is a different craft.
Right, definitely.
What was that adjustment like? What's that experience been like for you? Now holding the clipboard, now being the coach.
Right.
You reached out to Tiny, yo, Tiny, help.
My biggest thing was trying to change the mentality of the kids, you know, trying to get them to understand. First, trying to figure out who's really serious about the sport or who just playing the sport, you know what I mean? And that was kind of the hard thing for me to figure out because they don't even know at the time that they're just playing the sport and if they're really serious about the sport, you know? And for me, that's like kids who want to play on a higher level and want to one day get paid for the sport instead of kids who just playing right now because it's popular and my friend is playing, you know, things like that. So that was my biggest thing to change the mentality of the kids, you know. And just trying to teach as well, you know. My biggest thing was trying to share my experiences and things that I went through with them to try to, you know, let them know that this is possible for you too.
For sure. At the high school level, that's interesting because we all trying to figure that out, Geno. How to separate those that's serious from those that just showing up.
Right.
At the high school level, because you went through it at the highest level in this city, what does a high schooler who is serious about the game look like versus somebody that's just showing up?
So for me, one of the biggest things is off the court stuff. So like when you're on these teams in high school, you know the do's and you know the things not to do, you know? So if it's a person who's consistently doing something that he's not supposed to do, for me personally, it's like, how serious are you about the sport, you know? If you're doing things that can minimize your time on the court, how serious can you be about the sport, you know? So that's kind of big for me, you know? If you're not putting the effort off the court, then I know you're not going to put that effort on the court. When things get tough in your classroom or whenever, and you're trying to find ways to handle that and to pass that obstacle, then I know I can rely on you in the game and trust you in the game when things get tough and difficult on the court in the game.
Wow. That's great coming from somebody that went through the fire. No pun intended. Like you. Because some of these kids talk about, yo, I'm so focused on basketball, you know, I can't focus on my books. Well, you can't play basketball if your books ain't together.
Exactly.
Geno, tell me about the work you guys were putting away from the practice court, away from your basketball team as high schoolers. Because we seen through the fire, Bassie running his project steps before the morning. Talk to me about some of the work that was put in away from the team, away from your mandatory responsibilities.
See, for me, I'm coming from Brownville. I'm going to Lincoln. You know, that's like almost an hour trip. So I'm going there, school, we have practice, might even have a game sometimes. After all of that, I'm still coming to my hood, the Beacon, to play basketball.
Wow.
After all of that. Even when I was in Canarsie, every night I'm not missing to come play in the hood to play Beacon. You know, so I think it was just the competition. Every summer, I'm going, since a young kid, I'm ringing the bell of my friend, Shawnee. We used to call him Black Jesus. He was one of the dudes who taught me like my first crossover. I'm ringing his bell. He taking me to the park to go play with the older guys. My father taking me to the gym, the BRC, to play with the older guys. Just building that, you know, something from young. Those are things that kind of help you develop for me. Also, I'm going out in the mornings by myself on the court, you know, just practicing. Till this day, I'm running 2-3 miles a day, you know, just staying ready, you know. You got to put the work in if you want to see the results. The results not going to come if you don't put the work in.
Compare where, I guess, high schoolers are today to the journey you went through. You know, they got the social media. Mm-hmm. I feel like AAU has been kicked up a notch. Like, these kids got games every weekend, 2 or 3, 4 games a weekend. Compared it to, I guess, eras. What do you like? What do you don't like?
I like that there's more content out there with social media for kids to see. You know, they could go on YouTube or things like that and see the real stuff sometimes. And also it's bad because they don't get to see the work, they just see the results sometimes. So that's also has a cause and effect thing with it. Sometimes good, sometimes bad.
They want instant gratification.
Exactly. Instant gratification all the time. They don't want to go through the pain, through the trials and tribulations. You know, they think people just wake up nice and stuff like that. And some of the things I don't like is the people who are running these programs, you know. They lying to parents, lying to kids and stuff like that, which is, for me, that's not good, you know. And there's giving the kid the wrong impression and stuff. Like I was telling you earlier with facade and reality, you know, kids thinking they could do certain things and things like that. That's just some of the things I don't like. But there's a bunch of talent out there, definitely. Kids are, I think, talent-wise, probably better than my era, but just not molded right, you know?
Okay. With Eagle Academy, we walked into the game, and I saw you on the bench, and there was somebody sitting next to me, and I'm like, damn, this dude look familiar. I couldn't place the face. I'm like, yo, who is this dude? And then finally I figured out it was Malik Booth, who played at St. John's after you did.
He played with me. He's my freshman.
Oh.
That's my freshman.
That's your freshman.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dang, I wonder if these youngsters know the plethora of talent and knowledge they have in their midst.
Definitely. Even a varsity head coach, Kev Hamilton, he have maybe a 10+ career overseas.
Oh, word?
Went to he went to Malloy or Holy Cross College, one of them, but definitely.
So the double A is in trouble.
We building that Eagle, man. We building from the ground up.
The varsity team made it to the championship game this year. Were you there?
Yeah. No, I was overseas already, but yeah, I was there in spirit.
What do you think of this young man, Eric Acker, you guys have over there? Who's going into the senior year?
Eric is the goods, but even forget about basketball. He's just a great kid. You know, he's a fun kid to be around. You know, he's one of those hard workers on the court, even off the court. You know, he's definitely going to put the work in, and he wants to be better. You know, he wants advice from people. He wants you to tell him. He want to work out all the time. Sometimes you got to tell him, all right, Eric, relax, calm down, get some rest, calm down a little bit. But he's gonna be special. You
gave him some nuggets. You went into the secret New York City guard stash and gave him some.
Definitely him and another one, Taj, sophomore point. He's gonna be a junior next year. He's another one to look out for. You know, just trying to give them knowledge. You know, you know, not trying to overbear them with things. Just give them little things that I see. You know, I know they, you know, at that age, you get a lot of people talking to you and in your ears and stuff like that. You know, just try to pull them to the side sometimes and tell them little subtle things that I think should stick with them, or at least try to stick with them, that they just try to think about at times.
I find it interesting that like August and September rolls around and kids are going back to school, and you're waiting for a possible professional opportunity overseas. But in that time, you decide to go and work in the New York City public schools. Why not just live off your basketball glory, get up, train? Like, why did you take that opportunity to go into the schools?
For me, it's just, you know, part of also figuring out what I'm going to do after I'm finished playing basketball, after things out. And it just was an experience for me, you know, something I could experience, you know, something that's different from me, seeing if I was Cause that's a whole different pressure going in there with them kids. I'm not even going front. That's a whole different pressure, you know, than playing basketball. So it just was something I kind of wanted to experience, see if I was able to do it, if I could do it. You know, me and my wife would talk about, like, she always say, like, I wish I could see you in the class, how, you know, and I just was thinking, like, man, I wonder how it would be in the class too, and just something I did, which was cool, fun.
You out in the streets this summer?
Yeah, we outside.
You outside? What tournaments do you like to play in? What's it take to get Geno out the house these days?
If I get a phone call, I'm definitely gonna play in Gersh. Right now, Zone 6 is lit in Best Style tournament called Zone 6. I always make my way to Dykeman in the summer.
Yeah?
You know, yeah. Those legendary tournaments, you know, that from growing up, you know, where all the pros, players sometimes, you know, things like that.
How many more summers you think you got?
It's a good question, man. I mean, I feel good. My body has been good to me, you know, knock on wood. So I'm going to try to ride it till the wheels fall off.
All right. A couple things. If you're watching, please make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Helps to keep WBH Radio afloat. Also, Geno's on IG now.
Yes.
Who forced it?
It's just something I was thinking about, you know, like, you know, so people could start seeing me, see some things that I'm doing, things like that. I was like, all right, maybe it's time I should
It's
make
time. They get us eventually, man.
Yeah.
I've been fighting it too, but it's just time, man. You can fight it no more. Right. And the IG is Geno, Geno _Lawrence. And I was looking on the page and I saw something very interesting, nice logo. Said PAVE, P-A-V-E. And that stands for, you tell us, Geno, what does that stand for?
Yeah, so PAVE is a business that I created. It's called Pushing Through Adversity, Valuing Excellence. And it's just something that me and my wife came up with the name. It's just something that I'm eventually going to start doing more. I'm reaching into it now, but I'm really going to focus more when I'm like not playing anymore. It's almost like a big brother mentoring type program, you know. Of course, my first thing is going to be through sports because that's what I've done. But I want to reach to kids who do everything, you know. Kids who, if they want a profession in engineering, I want to go out there and get an engineer who can speak to them and show them the path that they have to take to become an engineer.
For sure.
Kids who want to do
podcasting. Come get me, Geno. I got you.
No, seriously though, podcasting. I can definitely holler at my man Will now, you know. Kids who on the wrong track in the streets. I can have somebody who was formerly in the streets who changed their life, who can be a mentor to them to let them know things like that. Kids who want to work in a profession in the schools, I have that outlet for them. Kids who want to be barber and things like that. I just want to be there to have different outlets for these kids. So, you know, because the youth is important to me, you know, and just trying to have them on the right track, because I don't want to say people didn't have that for me, but I didn't experience and I wasn't introduced to it, you know. Not to say that I needed it, you know. My parents did a remarkable job, but just saying some kids need that, you know. Yeah. Even if it's just, you know, a place for them to be so they won't be around any negative stuff out the way. You know, some kids need that things, and I just want to be able to provide that for them.
For sure. One last thing I forgot since I got you here. Geno, you involved with the high school basketball scene now, you know, coaching at Eagle Academy. You played on one of the more legendary teams in this city. And you started the podcast saying that you felt you needed to transfer to Abraham Lincoln to get the eyes on you, to play on the stage, to help you earn a college scholarship. Do you think that is still the case today with these kids and social media? Because it seemed like everybody want to go play for one school.
Right.
Do you still think that is the case, that people need to play for certain schools to get recognized?
At this day and age, I don't think it is as much as it was for me. A lot of these kids nowadays are transferring because things got a little tough for them, or they feel like they're not getting as much playing time. granted, some things might be warranted and some of that may be true, but some of these kids need to learn how to stick things out. Because if you build up this reputation of just running every time something gets tough, that's what you're going to be labeled as. And sometimes things are only going to get tougher. So some of these kids need to work on resilience, how they can get better, and just have these conversations. And us as adults, we have to be willing to have these conversations with the children as well, and not just write them off, because they're children at the end of the day. Some children need extra guidance than other children. So we have to be able to kind of give them this advice and seeing what they do with this advice, and just don't write them off, things like that. If you give them an advice and they working and they getting better and you see it, you have to acknowledge that sometimes, So I think it kind of goes both ways.
For sure, man. Well, Geno, we appreciate you, son.
Thank you.
New York City basketball royalty.
I'm almost there.
You did it, bro. Every level, still doing it. You know what I'm saying? We
it.
appreciate you. Appreciate the man that you are, too.
Thank you.
All right, brother. Thanks for answering the call, man.
No problem.
That's Geno. I'm William Hollis, WBH Radio. We out.
Later.